ESPN's Adam Schefter thinks of Death Wish Coffee live at 4:45 on Mondays. Best of Shefty this evening at 6:30. And Shefty, good to talk to you again. Let's get right to it. There's reports that Aldon Smith could be a New York Giant. What are the odds of that happening, Adam?
I think there's a lot of talk about a lot of teams right now. I think the fact of the matter is that he's got to get his life straightened out first and foremost. That's not to say that he couldn't end up in New York with the Giants, but I think right now that's more speculation than it is anything else right now. That is always subject to change, but it would make a lot of sense because I'm sure the Giants could get him cheap, and then they could have some flexibility in what they want to decide to do with JPP, and I'm sure there would be some relation there if one domino were to fall. But again, to date, and this could always change, I've heard that as being nothing more than speculative right now. But again, we could hang up in 30 minutes. All of a sudden, the Giants could be on the phone and make a deal with them. Who knows?
Well, Shefty, what is next for Aldon Smith? Does the league punish him? What happens?
Well, the case has to play out, the most recent case. And once that plays out, then the league can step in. And in this particular case, you're talking about a situation where he potentially violated the substance abuse policy and the personal conduct policy. He already been suspended 9 games last year, so you're looking at an even longer suspension this year. It wouldn't surprise me if the team that signed him, if there were a team that signed him, wound up basically sitting on him for a full year while he was suspended and having to babysit him and make sure that he was in good hands and getting the help he needed during that time. There's a lot to do here and a lot to undertake. It's not just so simple as going to sign Aldon Smith and you've got yourself this great pass rusher. I think there's a lot more to it. I don't think it's a simple process. I don't think it's a simple transformation. And again, every team, I can tell you this, I spoke to one team where they're like, what do you think? They were pondering something, whether it's worth exploring it. And I think there are teams that definitely have made calls, and they're trying to figure out the risk, the gamble, whether it's worth it, what they should do, what the right course of action is to take from here. And I think right now, nobody really knows.
Adam Schefter thinks of Death Wish Coffee with Armen and Levack on 104.5 The Team. So, Adam, just to clarify, the league is going to wait until the courts, it goes through the court system, these charges, which could take quite some time. So right now, so he's a free agent? He can play right now. He's available for anyone right now?
If a team were to sign him, I believe he would be available to play right now.
Wow.
Now, the case could be resolved, I don't know, a month, 2. I've seen players over time typically drag these things out and make them last for a while, make them essentially delay them till after the season, delay a game. And I guess he could do that. And I guess if the Giants, using your scenario, if the Giants were to ponder a move, that would be the play there so that they could have his services for this season. But you'd be with Adam at some point, I would think. I'd be, unless he beat all charges.
Yeah.
Shefty, let's do something crazy. Let's talk about actual on-the-field football. Even Hall of Fame game last night. Anything fun from that you took away?
Well, the biggest thing is that the Steelers kicker, Sean Sweeson, wound up tearing his ACL in the opening kickoff of the second half. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that you want to avoid. I remember putting on the game last night. I was with my dad, my father-in-law, and I said, somebody is going to get hurt tonight. Somebody's season is going to end in this meaningless 5th preseason game that each of these teams is playing. And you look back and say, man, what a waste that is. And there it is right there, that the waste comes with Sean Sweeson being in a situation where he tears his ACL, needs surgery, and is now out for the year, and the Steelers need another kicker.
Oh, and that's why you see guys that sit, like an Adrian Peterson's going to do for the preseason because of reasons like that.
Well, you routinely see guys. Adrian Peterson hasn't had a carry in a preseason game since 2011. So that gives you an idea of how long it has been since he's had a carry in a preseason game. Now, there have been various factors, but that's the situation where you hate to see that in the preseason. You just hate that.
ESPN's Adam Schefter with Armen and Levack. Thanks to Death Wish Coffee, the world's strongest coffee. Hall of Fame inductions on Saturday night. What was your biggest takeaway from the speeches in that evening?
I thought there were a lot. I mean, I think you go individually. First of all, Sydney Sayas stole the show. She was just fantastic. The poise, the grace, the eloquence, all of that, she was just tremendous. I think that was the biggest thing that you remember from that night. But beyond that, I thought Charles Haley was very fun. It was all over the place. It was meandering, but it was very entertaining. And I thought that Bill Polian was exactly what you would expect out of Bill Polian. Ron Wolf, same thing. Will Shields, very intelligent. Mick Tengelhoff, touching. Jerome Bettis, I thought, had a great speech. I really did. I thought he did a tremendous job. He spoke for a long time, and it didn't feel like a long time. And it just worked out very, very well. And so I like that. But Sidney say I was the showstopper that night, unquestionably in my mind.
Schefter, is it weird that the biggest moment for almost everyone is a speech that didn't even happen on the grounds?
What do you mean?
Well, she the majority of her speech came from the hotel where she filmed it.
No, but she spoke on national TV from the stage there that night.
Yeah, that 101, right?
And she spoke for about 3 minutes and 37 seconds, and it was as concise a 337, as articulate a 337, as affectionate as 337 as you'll ever see.
And then her full speech of the 9 minutes is on 1045theteam.com. So you felt that the NFL handled that the best way possible with this rule that they've had for the last 5 years of now not allowing someone to speak for someone who's deceased at the Hall of Fame inductions.
Yeah, no, that's what happened. Basically the bulk of that was delivered on stage on national TV, so she got to say what she wanted to say. I mean, let's be very clear about that. Now, it was a bit awkward. It was a setup where, okay, we're not going to allow her to speak, but we'll ask her a question on the side.
Yes.
And then she'll speak. I mean, to me, you either let the person speak or you don't. That's the way they chose. They chose a roundabout way to try to get around the rule that had been in effect for 5 years. But the bottom line is we heard from her. She was tremendous. She was off the charts. And, again, she got to walk away there that night feeling good that she got to speak what was on her mind, the feelings there.
ESPN's Adam Schefter with Armen and Levack, live at 4:45 every Monday. The best of Schefter at 6:30. Thanks to DeathWishCoffee.com. Cam Newton got in a fight today. Is that a bad look for a franchise quarterback to start a fight?
Absolutely. I'm a Cam Newton fan. I really like him. But I don't ever recall any quarterback that I ever covered engaging in any kind of brawl at training camp. And you're the leader of the team. You set the tone. You set a message. Aside from the fact that I can't tell you how many fights I've seen over the years where haymakers are being thrown and some guy sprains his wrist, breaks a finger, shatters his thumb on a helmet, whatever it is. You're the most valuable player on your team. You just signed this incredible contract. What are you doing? You got to somehow be poised enough and mature enough to step back, no matter what was said and done, and say, if I've got a problem with this guy, we're gonna talk about it. And if you're the other guy, Josh Norman in this case, you've got to be really dumb to go after the franchise player. That's a great way of getting yourself cut from the team. So neither man exercised the highest intelligence in engaging in a fight like that. And I don't ever recall it happening with a franchise-type quarterback. And I think it's disappointing for the Carolina Panthers.
That video is at 1045theteam.com.
And Schefter, we lost a legend in New York football over the weekend, and we spent a lot of the show today, discussing how we remember Frank Gifford. How do you think football fans should remember Gifford?
Well, it depends on your age. If you're my dad's age, you say Frank Gifford was one of the great players you've ever seen, and somebody that was unbelievable. My dad's just turned 70. You're someone like my age. I'm 48. You remember him as this incredibly effortless and effective Monday Night Football play-by-play man. Now, what's impressive about that is Monday Night Football has been in existence since, I think, 1970. There have been four total play-by-play men for Monday Night Football. One of whom was Keith Jackson. One of whom was Frank Gifford. One of whom was Al Michaels. And now Mike Tirico. I don't think there's been another Monday Night Football play-by-play man. Frank Gifford, who was an NFL MVP, not just a Pro Bowl player, an 8-time Pro Bowl player, but an MVP, was able to make that transition, and not just into the role as an analyst, as many players successfully do, but as a play-by-play man. Pat Summerall made that move. Frank Gifford made that move. There aren't many who go from playing, particularly at such a high level, to play-by-play man. That is a very difficult change to make, and the fact that he did it as effectively and as effortlessly as he did it tells you how talented he was. And look, I mean, this is the All-American life. All-American at USC, first-round pick, 8 Pro Bowls, Hall of Fame, broadcaster. I think he's a play-by-play man for 27 years. I mean, who in the media gets around 27 years anywhere, particularly no less at the top of the profession? So to do that, coming off the career he had, I think speaks to how legendary a life he led.
And isn't he? It sure feels like he's Mr. New York Giant. I mean, the Giants are now, they're looked at this organization that does everything the right way. He started that, didn't he? I mean, to an extent, he was that guy in the 50s.
Yeah, I think, and again, based on everything you say, I think that he was probably their first star player, the first face of that franchise, the first guy that put that organization on the map. And so, to me, that's quite an accomplishment for a franchise as storied and as decorated as the New York Giants.
All right, Adam Schefter joins us, so we get an opportunity. As you look around the training camps, which is the one that's impressing you the most right now?
Well, you got Marcus Mariota right now down in Tennessee, and I know people say, oh, big deal, no interceptions in practice. I'm telling you, to me, that means something. Like, most quarterbacks don't go through camps without throwing interceptions, especially when they're rookies. So I don't care that it's practice. I don't care that the Titans' defense may not be very good when they still have Dick LeBeau, a great defensive mind, and Ray Horton, great defensive mind. I mean, they've got some really good coaches. They got some good defense. And I don't care if Marcus Mariota is dinking and dunking. We're 8 practices and 9 right now. And, as of Monday afternoon, he hadn't thrown an interception. Not one. And if you go back and look at his touchdown to interception ratio in college, well, that's a case where that's kind of what he did there. At Oregon, he threw 105 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Now, this doesn't assure anything. It doesn't mean that he's going to be a star player in the pros. And maybe we all are overreacting, and apologies to all those people who have gotten offended about me tweeting, about Marcus Mariota's no picks. But the fact of the matter is we're looking for signs in the early part of training camp, and we're getting signs, for whatever that's worth, out of Tennessee that the quarterback they drafted has a real chance to be a standout player. And we'll see whether or not he does it.
Shefty, how's Death Wish Coffee working out for you and the wife?
I'll tell you this. We are big fans of Death Wish Coffee. And I am not just saying that because my wife was like, we got to get more of this. I'm like, I know. Okay. And, what wifey wants, you want to make sure it happens.
Yep.
And, I mean, we're fans. We really are. It's great.
Good stuff. ESPN's Adam Schefter joins us every Monday. Adam, I know you got to go pick up one of the cell phones, man. Go do your thing, and thank you so much for jumping on with us every Monday. We always enjoy it.
Thanks, guys. Had a great time. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Sounds good.
Sir.
There he goes, Adam Schefter. Thanks to Death Wish Coffee every Monday at 4:45. Not going to lie to you. Out of all the topics in the NFL, the one thing, the biggest takeaway of what's impressing him the most is Marcus Mariota. I did not see that coming.
No, because when we broke this draft down, it looked like Winston was the more pro-ready quarterback, that Mariota would be, a project, and right now it looks like that's not the case at all.
Levack, the best in the world is even better. That is next.